You can knock that guy out, then it's a draw.
They also haven't used the rule yet.
So you go knockout for knockout.
Boy, that rule looks like it's written by lawyers, doesn't it? Doesn't that rule look written by lawyers? So find out what's happening, because I think they were going to announce something today about Lamont Roach, Gervonta Davis decision.
Of my sport that I've been in for 50 years, I hate what people do to it. I hate it. I don't hide that.
You ain't gonna win. I said, why not? What you talking about? He like, they ain't gonna give it to you. I said, oh, is that right?
Rogan has called out a potential fight and criticized the Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach bout. The strange regulation that gives a knocked out fighter 2 minutes to recuperate and return for a knockout, making it a tie, was condemned by him for manipulating. According to Rogan, the rule appeared to be a legal ploy that might have been rigged.
Gervonta Davis decision on the knockdown. It was a very good fight, though. Lamont Roach is very good. I was really impressed because Tank is nasty. Tank is so powerful. Yeah. He's so vicious. Like his one-punch power at 135 is like nobody else's in the division.
Just as the fight between Lamont Roach and Gervonta Davis seemed to be settled, as Roach himself alluded to. When in boxing, Davis told him bluntly in the 11th or 12th round that they wouldn't give it to him, implying that the judges had already made up their minds. When the final scores were revealed, Roach first thought he had won by split decision but was disappointed. His reaction highlights the harsh truth of predetermined results in the sport. Roach acknowledged that boxing works this way, especially when fighting a superstar like Davis.
Won the fight, but when the fight was over, before the judges, before the scorecards came up in the ring, were you worried at all that maybe you wouldn't get the nod?
Y'all know something funny? When we was talking in like the 12th round, I think the 12th or 11th, we was talking shit, right? But he like, you ain't gonna win. I said, shit, why not? What you talking about? He like, they ain't gonna give it to you. I said, oh, is that right? So, that's how boxing work. It's sad to say, that's how boxing work. I'm not, like, totally upset. I figured with a superstar, you won't get too much on paper. But, shit, I damn sure thought I had it. Especially when they announced the score for him. I was like, oh, they gonna give me a split decision win. I was like, oh, yeah. I said, oh, shit, here it goes. But as soon as I heard that 114, I was just like, damn, all right, it's over with.
Veteran referee Jack Rice talked about the drama surrounding the matchup between Lamont and Gervonta Davis. Roach Jr.'s bout demonstrated the flexibility of boxing rules by pointing out that the referee has ultimate control within the ring, giving them total discretion over calls like knockdowns and stoppages.
Formoso Hernandez, when he lands the punch and turns his back and takes a knee, he gets counted. You think of Miguel Cotto against Antonio Margarito, where, it was under duress and he just took that knee. And, of course, my compadre right here, Chris Algieri against Ruslan Provodnikov as well. It wasn't a particular shot. You feel something, you feel discomfort, you take a knee. All those times, there's a count, dude. And I'll tell you what, Steve Willis also knew there was a count because he started counting and then stopped.
Yeah, we'll get to it. There's more than one pillar of this defense for Lamont Roach Jr., but the first one's a knockdown, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, we have a ton of experts on the panel today. I'm going to speak from a fighter standpoint, just like you did, Champ. And you can argue whether that right hand landed clean or if it landed hard or how hard those jabs were. It doesn't matter. Champ, when you mentioned when I took that knee against Ruslan Provodnikov, I actually didn't get hit. I was still recovering from the last knockdown when my orbital was damaged. My eye was damaged. My vision was impaired. I gave ground so I would keep my opponent off me, and I still couldn't see. So I took a knee, understanding very well that as soon as I took that knee, I was going to get a count. Yeah. And I had 8 to 9 seconds to get up, and I had more time to get my vision back, which it did, thank God.
And Mayweather didn't get hit either. He threw the punch.
Yeah, he actually landed left on Hermoso, Hernandez.
So, this is standard procedure here, guys.
Yeah, and we got to see. The question I have to ask, I got to start with Jack Reese. Is there something we are, as fans, aren't seeing about this knockdown that changes it? Because me, as a fan, I saw a knockdown in round number 9. What's your thought?
Well, when I agreed to come on, I'm regulated by an ethics agreement that I signed, so I don't want to come on and criticize or actually defend his actions or anybody's actions. What I would like to do is just lay out what the rules and regulations say and the court of public opinion, and you guys can make your own decision on what you think happened based upon what the rules and regulations are. And let me just say this, there's a difference between rules and regulations. Regulations are very strict, they're written into statute, into law. That's the operating system, and then the rules are very flexible and they help you actually do the details that work within that system.
After Davis and Roach Jr.'s controversial draw, the New York State Sports despite appeals from Roach's team, the NY SAC upheld the majority draw decision after the commission acknowledged a review error that affected the 9th round knockdown judgment. The commission also acknowledged the dispute and guaranteed that an inquiry was underway. Discussions concerning boxing's legitimacy have been triggered by the events surrounding the Davis versus Roach fight. It has been said that these scandals could undermine public confidence in the sport, and that upholding open and equitable practices is crucial for boxing's reputation and future.
New York State Athletic Commission is reviewing the controversial, whatever. They said they blame on the production team. The blame is on the production team. The knee, all that. They say the New York State Athletic Commission says they are reviewing the controversial no knockdown call in the March 1st matchup between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach. Right? They deem technical issues, right? Involving Gervonta Davis taking a knee in the 9th round, blah, 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 blah. A technical issue. So apparently they had AOL dial-up at the Barclays Centers.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
I mean, this story gets crazier and crazier by the minute. And I remember when it transpired and we were talking about it.
Yeah.
And nobody was bringing up the fact, and I think if we were the only people that actually brought up the fact that they actually reviewed it. They actually reviewed it after the round.
Yeah.
And stated that it wasn't a knockdown.
Yeah.
So it started, and maybe there was some misinformation, but that's what it was said. That's what they were told. That's what the commentators were told, that
they claimed both fighters followed the referee's instructions throughout the bout and that there was inadequate explanation to reverse the outcome. The boxing community has responded differently to this resolution, and the fight's outcome will have a big impact on both fighters' careers. For Davis, the controversy has drawn attention and could result in a rematch with Roach, whose performance has raised his profile and opened doors for high-profile fights. The boxing community will be intently monitoring both fighters' next movements.
New York State Athletic Commission has upheld Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach as a draw. Now, this is what I expected. I mean, commissions very rarely change the results of fights, unless, of course, someone tests positive for a PED. But in this case, the commission had a very poor explanation. They did admit that referee Steve Willis missed the knockdown of Tank in round 9, but it's the sequence of events after that for me that should have guaranteed the knockdown. As soon as Tank took the knee, the referee started the count, 1, 2, 3, and then as soon as Tank came back, Steve Willis stopped the count. Secondly, when Tank went to his corner, he got his face wiped off by a towel, which is illegal in the middle of a round. I mean, even Canelo said it, that's merit for a disqualification. So I don't know how the commission can admit a knockdown should have been ruled, display a sequence of errors, and then say, oh, well, the referee didn't rule a knockdown in real time, so we'll uphold the result. It seems kind of odd, but I do get it. I mean, there'd have been outrage if the commission overturned the result. But what I want to see now is the WBA enforce a rematch. Lamont Roach deserves a second opportunity. I'm sure the fans would want to see it as well, and that's the right thing to do for the integrity of the sport.
Joe Rogan has made his thoughts about the contentious draw between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach Jr. publicly questioned the validity of the judgment, claiming that he didn't accept the draw as a fair result, and he insisted that a rematch was required. Rogan stressed that boxing's credibility is at risk when dubious decisions remain uncontested. According to Rogan, the only way to end the controversy is with a rematch, which would guarantee that both fighters receive a definitive resolution. Rogan feels Davis cannot just walk away from such a lackluster performance without giving fans the closure they deserve.
You can't get around what everybody saw. Look, it wasn't a legit knockdown like he hurt Tank. Tank did have some in his eyes, but what are you doing putting in your hair when you have a world title fight? That's crazy.
And no one want to hear about it in the middle of a fight. That no one cares. If a fly by, drop the ball, bro.
Right.
drop the damn ball. We don't care if a fly flew by your helmet or your eyes.
Yeah, nobody gives a fuck about that.
You can't be a championship fighter and taking a knee and putting on those type of performances.
Also, what are they putting in his hair? That when he's sweating is dripping into his eyes. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
Bro, shave your head.
Weird, right? Yeah, exactly.
Shave your head. Who cares?
Like, don't be pretty boy. You better go get this fight.
Get those braids out of there. You don't need those.
Teddy Atlas, a renowned boxing commentator, has stated that a fight between Roach and Davis. Though he is still dubious about it happening because there is no accountability for the referee's decisions, he feels that unsolved issues from their first encounter deserve another fight.
I think we know the answers. I think we know the answers, unfortunately.
But we need the rematch, and we'll get it. But I touched on last night during the live stream, it's the great Angelo Dundee with Ali when he couldn't see and he was blinded. He didn't say go out there and call a timeout, take a knee. Go and run, move until you can see. And just to be able to go out there and call a timeout, it's like being in the schoolyard. Oh, do-over. Unbelievable. This has to be addressed. This can't just continue. This referee must be sat down and reprimanded. And hopefully we get some answers and we get the rematch.
We won't. I'm sorry. I'm terrible. I am, but I'm ashamed of myself. I am so cynical. But this sport has made me cynical. I'm sorry. I don't see anyone's going to reprimand this referee. What are they going to do? I mean, it happens too often. It's happened too often. I don't know. We need a national commission. That's the only thing I could think of, but we're not getting one right now. But the last thing I want to say to put a bow on this one, Bud, we talked about the controversial part, but I want to finish with the great part. That was high-level boxing. That was two guys at the highest level showing their skills.
Teddy Atlas